Hey guys, Steve Watch here, Beeman Toyota in Nashville. Wanted to reach out to you because a while back, you know, and over the past couple of years, I've been doing auto market updates, talking about what is actually going on with the auto market, what I saw in the future, what I thought was going to happen. And I actually went back through some of my old YouTube videos today, and I found out that, man, I'm good. I was pretty accurate on what I was telling you guys, and in these market updates that I was trying to give you guys so that you could have a little bit better of an idea when it came to what was going to happen with the car market. So if you kind of take a look, I'm going to do some clips here about what I had said and when I said it. So pay attention on the bottom there. I'm going to put the date that I said it, what I said, and what, you know, obviously you guys can figure out if I was right or not, but I think I was pretty darn close. All right, so take a look at that.
My thoughts are, like I said, if you were going to buy a car, why not? You know, buy one now, get your interest rate the lowest possible, get your payment the lowest possible, get your get a better car. Now, here, keep in mind too, if these factories slow down, if they stop moving cars, if stuff stops rolling for a little while, you know, you need to get in early to make sure you get what you want. You know, that way you don't have to take, you know, your second choice color or take your third choice color or something along those lines. You can pick what you want. Your used cars, we got all kinds of used cars. I got hundreds of cars here. I probably have over 1,000 cars on the ground. So, you know, and other dealerships are the same way. So when it comes down, I mean, you can look here. I mean, this is all cars down here, and this is just part of our lot. I've got a second lot that's the same way up the hill, and I've got another lot on 12, but I got another lot over there with a couple hundred more cars on there. So I mean, I've got inventory right now. If they stop moving inventory for, you know, a couple weeks, and we keep selling cars like we are, then maybe that will hurt just a little bit for selection. But we're still trading for cars. We're still buying cars. We're still doing the auction thing. We're still people are stuck in their homes in a lot of cases right now. People are not able to get out. They're not able to travel when they would have. Their spring break's been disrupted. All of these things, I understand all of that. Man, people do not like to be kept down too long. They do not like to be in their homes because they have to be. They do not like to self-quarantine. They do not like to do any of the stuff that they're doing. So what's going to happen is we're going to have a rebound that's going to be like hitting one of those, you know, huge bouncy balls, and it's going to jump. And the reason that I say that is because I'm thoroughly believing this, that it's going to jump, it's going to climb so much faster because it's got so much room to go now. I think the stock market will get to where it was and beyond that, just because all this stuff's pent up. Once you get certainty, it's going to jump right back up. People are going to book travel almost immediately, I think, because once it's like, hey, look, we're on the downturn, it's, you know, it's clear there's no new cases coming or minimal new cases. We figured out a vaccine, we figured out a treatment, we figured out all this stuff. Once all that stuff happens, I think that it's going to come back with a vengeance. So what'll happen is they'll immediately start to bring the rates back up for your interest rates. Car prices are going to come back up. So they're going to try to make up a little bit of ground. You're going to have all this stuff to start to creep back up. The economy is going to come back to a roaring status again. And once you have that done, you're not going to have the same buying power or buying ability. Now's the time to pull the trigger. Man, you know, I like to go back to a Warren Buffett quote. And Warren Buffett said that when people get scared, I get greedy. When people get greedy, I get scared. Well, there's a lot of scared people right now. So if you've got the money, if you've got the ability, man, now's the time to buy. It's one of the best buying opportunities that's been around in a long time. And you guys can mark my words on this. What's going to happen is your supply is going to go down very, very fast. Now, it all depends, like I said, of what the manufacturers can do and how fast they can ramp back up. But I'll tell you, we've got an auxiliary lot that normally by the end of March is overflowing with cars. I mean, we can put 600 cars on that lot. Normally it's overflowing. It's about half full right now. And that's, I mean, I know that this is part of it. Are we not selling as many cars as we usually would? True. We're not selling near as many cars as we usually would, but the thought that I have is, okay, so if it takes them a while to get ramped up, takes them a while to get transported, and we have all this pent-up demand, so everybody that would have bought in March, that would have bought in April, and that's going to buy anyway in May, if we started back May 1st, you're going to have issues with getting the car you want, getting the color you want, of the trim level that you want, of the brand even that you want. And that's just thinking about new cars. Well, what about used cars? Well, you're going to run into the same thing in used cars, because where does predominantly most of your used car inventory come from? Trade-ins off of new cars. So if you don't have trade-ins off of new cars and you don't have new cars to sell, it's going to be a effect to where you're not going to be able to get either the used car you want or the new car that you want. And you're going to, I don't want to have to say settle, because I mean, if you get a gray Highlander instead of a silver one, does that really mean you're settling? No, you might like them both just the same. But maybe now instead of buying in May, well, now you're going to have to buy in July when you had every want to buy in May. So my point is that it might be better to try to get your hands on a vehicle now. And keep in mind, that's self-serving too. I understand. I know that'll be in the comments that I'm just trying to get people to buy a car now. It's true. But the thing is, it's going to benefit you better. Why? Because you're going to have the better selection and the better deals. Because once your demand rises and the availability of product drops, which is called supply and demand, your deals aren't going to be there. Because think about it. I mean, here, that's what I got RAV4s, right? I got a whole line of RAV4s right here. All right. I've got more in another spot that's actually over that way. All right. I've got more in my other lot. So I've probably got 60 RAV4s, let's just say. Maybe a couple more, but let's just say I got 60 RAV4s. All right. They're not building anymore right now. The plant stopped. All right. So if you wanted a RAV4 hybrid, I got RAV4 hybrids. If you wanted a RAV4 now, when do you think you're going to get the best selection? It's going to be now, unless you waited until long after the plants come back up. Highlanders. I don't have as near as many of the Highlanders. I probably only have 20 Highlanders, right? But we're the largest store in this area when it comes to volume. So if that's what I've got, what about a store that, that doesn't normally stock 1,200 cars? What about a store that normally stocks 50? Which there's some of those out there, the 50, the 60, the 70 cars. Well, they're still selling, a few. They're not selling a lot. Let's say they're selling, let's say they're selling 10 cars a week. Well, you got 6 weeks of inventory. So realistically, if they can't get resupplied and resupplied fast, your selection, you're going to be driving around trying to find the right car. You're going to be having issues and don't get me wrong, we can locate cars, stuff like that. But if you have a company that wants to locate a car from somebody when they know that they have customers that'll buy that car too, the answer could be no. So you never know exactly what you're going to get, where you're going to get it. So my whole point on this is know what you want. If you can buy a car, you should probably do it, or realize that you might have to wait a little bit to actually be able to do it after everything ramps up if you're looking for something particular. So ordering one's going to be 6-8 months. Am I positive on that? No, but does that make sense? I think it does. So like I said, I'm just trying to think a little bit out of the box is what's going to happen with supply of all of these vehicles when the manufacturers aren't making anymore, and what's going to happen to your availability. And here's even the bigger thing. What's going to happen to your deal? You think the manufacturers have a reason to put several $1,000s off on a car? I mean, to spur the economy. I understand that's an idea, but if you've got half the inventory that you normally have at this time, and you've got the same amount or more customers, putting extra rebates, extra discounts, it doesn't really make business sense to do that. Rebates and discounts are meant to spur business. If the business is already spurred and the business is already doing what it's supposed to be doing, and like I said, it's all my opinion, but man, I don't see how I could be wrong on this.
All right, so you saw some about what I was predicting. That was all the way back in 2020. Obviously, I put the date on the bottom there. And when nobody really knew what was going on, I was predicting certain things that it wasn't a hunch, really. It was just based off of knowledge, based off of what I thought was going to happen. And I think I've pegged it pretty good. So you saw some of the inventory that was on there. I want you to take a look at the next video that I've got here and watch what happens to the inventory as I go through this video, and then I go through the next video and a couple clips from those videos.
Looking, I've got spaces in inventory now. Toyota, and I know every other manufacturer, has shut down their plants. So Toyota just recently, they had said they were going to try to open them on the 4th of May. Today is the 4th of May that I'm recording this. They're not open as of yet. They have now pushed that back to the 11th as their open date. So that being said, what you're starting to find and looking through the system, what I'm starting to find is that there are less and less available cars. Right now, everybody's begging for inventory. Other dealers, they're looking for larger dealers to try to pull inventory from to be able to sell to their customers, and then those dealers are starting to say no. So usually when somebody says, I want a blue 4Runner, and if I didn't have that one in stock, I'd say, well, no problem, I can go and get that one for you. Let me find it. Finding it is now starting to become a problem, and it's not even that it's not out there, it's just that people are starting to not trade as much. So I'm starting to see two things happen. Number one, you're not going to get the car that you exactly want, whether it's the color, the trim level, the options on it. You're not going to, I mean, maybe you can find the car, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say you're not going to find the car, but it's less likely that you're going to find the car exactly the way that you want it. The other thing is that it now starts to flip on you with the supply and demand. Now, I know that today's the last day that Toyota's doing 0%, and I've talked to some of my friends at other dealerships, and they're saying we're not doing deals that we were doing a month ago. And basically meaning if you're looking at, all these people that were basically selling a car to sell a car and, making $100 on it and being happy, they're not doing those deals anymore. They're and don't get me wrong, you'll still get a deal, but they're not doing deals that are panicked deals. Now the deals they're looking at is going, well, if I sell this car, I don't have one to replace it, or I don't know when I'll get one to replace it. So they would rather hold that car and not sell it to you at that deal that you're trying to get, or something along those lines. I'm just trying to give you guys a heads up. If you're looking for a car, and I know this has always been a now business, anytime that you're looking at buying a vehicle, it's always a now business, but you're looking. Hey. So, but you're looking at what we've got. That was Steve, by the way, a different Steve. But you're looking at what we've got here on the ground. I still have a really good inventory, don't get me wrong, but there's some of these small dealerships and some of the friends that I've been talking to, and they're basically letting me know that their managers are pretty much starting to say it's going to be sticker price soon. And sticker price minus rebate, or sticker price and whatever the percentage rate is, and that's what you're going to buy the car for. So if you need a car, it's probably better to do one now than what it would be a little bit later.
So we're back again, guys. You saw another video. I do want to point out that if you look at the building behind me, you can tell that building is done now. There's actually two buildings there, but they're not superimposed. I haven't changed anything on any of those videos, just kind of grabbed a couple of little snippets of it so that you guys can see that what I was saying was actually accurate. So when it came to the market, what I thought was going to happen, I was being 100% accurate with you guys as far as I was thinking that was going to happen. So so then you started to ask the question, well, what about the used market? What's happening with the used market? And then you had all these people out there that were saying, well, the used market's going to collapse, and they were thinking that it was just going to completely collapse. And then there was about the other half of people that were thinking, well, used market's going to stay a little bit higher for a while, and then it's going to kind of normalize. Take a look. I'm going to show you some more.
Used cars, here's the other thing. So if you're looking at used cars more often than not either go, number one, through auction, or number two, come in via trade-in, on more likely than not on a new car, if it's actually back on a dealership lot. So like, I've got several used cars here. So if you're looking at what I've got for you know, this is not all of them by any means, this is just a small amount. But if you're looking for new cars or used cars, your inventory is starting to be a problem. So anytime that your inventory goes down, your price goes up. So if you need a car, you've been thinking you need a car, it's probably a time to do something. That's just up to, I mean, it's up to you. You tell me. But if you're stable in your job and you're confident in your job and you're looking for a deal financial wise, because the banks are hungry still, and looking for a deal on a car, you're going to get to the point where your price is going up. So like I said, I'm just kind of trying to tell you guys what I'm thinking here and what's possibly going to happen. Now, don't get me wrong, if Toyota fires their plants back up on May 11th and they can get them up to full speed, which, by the way, they're all saying that they won't be full speed. So they're going to get them up, and what are they going to be, 25% of what they were? You're still not going to start recovering that inventory. So you know, they start putting more on the ground, so be it. You know, some more land, and you start to have more to sell, and yeah, you're definitely going to have some opportunities there, but there's just not going to be as many coming out. If you want to order a vehicle, I mean, God, it could be months before you get your car in if you want to order it. So I expect your used car prices to actually go up. I've heard people say the opposite, that the used car price will go down. When inventory suffers, prices go up. So your used car price, I expect that to go up. Your new car price, I expect those to hit closer to sticker. And if it was to get really bad, and it's quite possible that some dealerships could start selling those cars over sticker price. So you got a $25,000 sticker, but you've only got one of them. Now all of a sudden it's a $35,000 car. Maybe you don't buy it that way. And God, I hate it when people do that kind of stuff where they try to sell them for over sticker. Just realize that supply, demand, it's always big. And, you know, if you're even looking at sticker price, it's liable that if you can't get the inventory, they'll start selling them over sticker just to try to, you know, just basically because they don't have inventory to come in to replace it.
So now we're to today. All right, so we're coming into the 1st of September, and I'm down on our lower lot. We've got a lot of certified cars. We've got some other vehicles, some cars that are sold. That one, there's sold cars that are just waiting to be picked up, kind of thing. But still no new cars that you can really get your hands on. So what's the latest and the greatest when it comes to the market update for the rest of the year, maybe? Well, you guys saw that I was pretty accurate on what I thought, so I'm going to tell you what I think now and follow along, because I think you might be interested in what I'm about to tell you. So I have noticed, going through some of the inventory that's being built, some of the stuff that's getting built is still ending up with a name on it, but the lists are getting a little bit smaller. So is it the economy? Who knows? Is it that people that wanted cars bought cars, and now, you know, it's lightening up a little bit? I mean, there's still a large wait for a lot of vehicles. So 4Runners, I mean, there's a long list for 4Runners. Siennas, good luck. I mean, you're still I mean, people are estimating 2 years on Siennas, right? So good luck there. So if you're starting to talk about, you know, specific vehicles, RAV4s, they build a lot of RAV4s, but they still haven't caught up to the demand. Camrys, Corollas, I mean, there's a wait list on Corollas. I mean, there's, and a lot of these cars are built in the US. The ones that are built overseas, the Prius, the 4Runner, the ones that are only built in Japan for most of the markets, those are going to be even harder to get, because it takes an extra month to 2 months to get those over to be able to be sold, right? So let's talk about it, right? So what's going to happen with some of these markets? The Siennas are going to stay high. You're going to probably still see all these market adjustments, things like that. I think that as we go, though, you're going to start to see some of these market adjustments starting to come down on things like Camrys, RAV4s, Corollas. I think you're going to start to see some of those come down, because I feel like the demand is waning a little bit and the build is coming up a little bit. It's an opinion, but like I said, I've been right before. So but I feel that this a little bit of a shift here with that. So if you're about to pay a market adjustment, you probably shouldn't do that. But there have been some dealerships, like this one right here, that one, there's been some dealerships that have not been charging market adjustments. We haven't charged them since the beginning of everything here that's been going on. So some dealerships have charged them since the very moment they felt like they could get away with it, and that's kind of drove everything else up, right? So that being said, I see some of these people that have been charging, you know, like $5,000 on a Camry, now they're charging $2,000 on a Camry. So they're, you know, the market adjustments are starting to work their way back down. So will we get back to massive rebates? No. Will we get back to behind MSRP? Probably not anytime within the next year, but I think within the next year we will see most people selling at MSRP, and we might be seeing something from manufacturers that would be small rebates, something like a $500 to $1,000 rebate, something like that. Maybe even some help on the interest rates, considering the interest rates are going up. That's possible too, but once again, it's all just a guess on my part, right? So, and that's what I'm trying to give you guys. That's what I gave you before. Turned out that I was pretty accurate. Now there was one that I wasn't accurate on. It was the very first one where I thought that the thing would probably be around for about a month or so, and then we'd start going back to a little bit more normalized. Once I realized that wasn't the case, I started to adjust what I thought was going to happen, and beyond that point, yeah, I was pretty accurate. So so what about all these vehicles that you just can't get? Tundras, Siennas, Priuses, you know, anything that's a hybrid. You know, Highlanders I think are going to be one of the ones that you can start to get more easily with, you know, 2 to 3 month wait on them. Camrys, I think it's going to start to get there on them, just from what I'm seeing, right? So I'm still on our used car side over here, of course, but there's no new cars still. So the lists are still full. We've had a couple that have landed without somebody on them, but they are very few and far between when they do. So and here's the other thing too, there have been some people that have backed out. So when you have that many people on a list and you've got thousands of people on a list, there's going to be some people that back out for whatever reason, for expediency, for, you know, job reasons, for you know, some people just think that it's, you know, I want to wait a little while and see what happens. So all that stuff could happen, right? So my thoughts and that's what you're paying to see here, right, is my thoughts. I think that we're on a bubble, that we're on a cusp here to the next part of this. I think what's going to happen is, I think that the manufacturers are going to start to get more parts. I think they're going to start to ramp up a little bit on their production. I think you're going to have companies like the Ford and GMs, where they've been stockpiling cars, but they were waiting on pieces. The chips, I think, are going to start to come a little bit quicker. I think some of that stuff's going to start to roll just a little bit quicker. If that happens, then you're going to have a bunch of those vehicles that have been sitting in the fields for a while become available. If those particular vehicles become available, then you're going to have them start to drive down the prices, you know, and things like that. So I think that you might have a little bit better luck getting the new cars here soon. But, and there's a big but, what about the used cars? Used cars are a different animal. So you have to consider that over the past, you know, 2 years, 2.5 years, that there have been millions of used cars, or sorry, millions of new cars that have never been built. So those 2- and 3-year-old used cars are available. They were never made. You can't get a car that was never built as a used car. So they should have made several million more used cars or new cars that right now would be your 10 and 15,000 mile used car that somebody traded in, or a 2-year-old off lease 20,000 mile, you know, Camry, something like that. It would be something along those lines that you should have those cars. You don't. So and what you can get that's like that, you're paying a premium for right now. Even as a dealer, you're paying a premium. So if you're buying cars that way, it's, you know, and everybody's doing it. So it's not something to where you can go, well, there's some dealer that can buy them so cheaper than everybody else. There's not. There's nobody that can buy them cheaper than, you know, an average dealer can, right? So what are we gonna do? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think that the used car market, like I said, is gonna be up there for a minute. I think you're gonna have probably somewhere on the new car side, I think you might have a little relief in about 6 to 8 months, somewhere around in there. And this is first part of September, like I said, so I think it's gonna be 6 to 8 months. You'll have a little bit of relief there. I think the used cars, I still think you're looking at about 3 years before the prices on the used cars normalize. It just feels that way. It still feels like about 3 years, maybe 2. It kind of depends on how many new cars get built. If they ramp up production and everybody goes to 100% production on new cars, having so many new cars will drive down the price of the used cars. I just don't know that they can produce enough that would demand that yet. So I'm thinking of 6 to 8 months on the new cars. You're going to get a little bit more relief, and I'm thinking, man, if it was 1 year, I think that would be amazing. But I really think it's going to be a 2-3 year process before we filter through some of the used cars, because like I said, you've got so many of these that would be like a really lightly used 1 year or 2 year old car that doesn't exist. So the fact that it doesn't exist means you can't sell it, means you can't buy it, means that if you want one of those, you pay more for it. Law of supply and demand. That's just pretty much what it is. But I don't know, we'll see if I'm right on this one. But like I said, you know, somewhere 6 to 8 months on a new car, somewhere, you know, call it 2 years, you know, for your used car market to more normalize. What do you guys think? Am I right? I'm saying no. I was right before. But we'll see. But definitely like and subscribe. Steve Welch, Beeman Toyota, Nashville. And definitely let me know what you guys think. I look forward to your comments. Looking back is always fun, but looking forward, that one's a little bit more difficult. So tell me what you guys think. Steve Welch, Beeman Toyota. Have a good one. Bye.